Here's our 7-day outlook.
Tomorrow morning on America's Morning Headquarters, we're tracking Arthur. Our AMHQ experts are live all across the region tomorrow morning only on your Weather Channel.
Live from the Weather Channel headquarters in Atlanta, you're watching Hurricane Central.
If you're in the evacuation zone and people tell you to evacuate, local officials have issued those orders. Go now. Sun may be shining, but as you point out, conditions will deteriorate later today. Get ready. Do your final preparations. If you're in the evacuation zone, evacuate.
Mandatory evacuations have been issued for Richlands Township in Beaufort County, North Carolina, and all residents and visitors who've not yet evacuated Hatteras Island are urged to do so immediately if you can. The Hatteras Ocracoke ferry service stopped service at 5 Eastern. Thanks for staying with us for special coverage of Hurricane Arthur and severe weather. I'm Dave Schwartz. Alex Wilson will join us in just a minute. Let's get you updated with the latest news from Hurricane Arthur. Several intersections in Wilmington, North Carolina are flooded this hour, and about 2,500 people are without power in the area. A pet-friendly shelter will be opening up in Pamlico County, North Carolina, starting at 5 p.m. And ferry operations from Ocracoke to Hatteras have suspended. It's been about a half an hour since that happened. Now let's go in depth with Hurricane Arthur with Alex Wilson and hurricane specialist Carl Parker.
Thank you so much, Dave. You know, in our latest update, we still have a Category 1 storm, but we still do expect this to strengthen as it moves closer to the Outer Banks.
It is expected to be a Category 2 storm as it moves in, and one of the big changes in the last package was a narrowing of the track, and so we're really sort of removing the possibility that it's going to be largely, or at least the core of the storm would be largely offshore. Now it appears that it's going to squarely hit the eastern part of North Carolina, come across the Outer Banks, the Sounds, and have a lot of impact in southeast Virginia as well. So there's the latest advisory, 5 o'clock advisory showing a 90-mile-per-hour storm just shy of being a Category 2, now moving north-northeast at 13 miles per hour. We'll take a look at the forecast track, and again, we're expecting that this will be a Category 2 storm, and this is the big difference that we talked about, where the earlier track was extending farther out like this and leaving open that possibility of the center of the storm being a little offshore relative to the islands. Now it is really squarely centered on southeastern parts or eastern parts of North Carolina and the islands, and mainland Dare and Hyde counties down into Carteret County. Those areas are going to almost certainly get hit with very, very strong wind and a significant water level rise as well.
Well, exactly. Flooding going to be one of the main concerns as that storm surge rise comes into play. You mentioned southwest Virginia, and then you can see we're going to be watching parts of the northeast. Now, not a direct hit for them, but impacts definitely.
And there's another change too. There's now a tropical storm watch in effect for southeastern Massachusetts, and yes, beyond that, it's going to have a direct impact there in Nova Scotia and Halifax. Now, I want to talk to you about the wind speeds that we're anticipating tonight. This is a model forecast. I think it's a pretty good one. This is the GFS model, the American model, showing sustained winds tonight, 40 to 50 miles per hour between Wilmington and Beaufort, Morehead City, coming up into the Sounds there. Then by 4 o'clock in the morning, really picking up in the Outer Banks and up into eastern or northeastern parts of North Carolina. Look at this, 6 a.m., 60 to 75 mile per hour winds sustained, and so that means winds gusting probably to 80, 90 miles per hour in these areas, and that certainly is enough wind to cause a lot of damage. And then we see it starting to come down by mid-morning, and by afternoon it really does begin to come down. But one thing I want to mention is this storm surge potential. And then here you've got the Outer Banks, which are generally very low-lying islands, about 3 to 6 feet in elevation. So when you're talking about a 3 to 6 foot surge, then you're talking about inundation in some areas. You're talking about major coastal overwash. We've seen that many times where Highway 12 has actually been cut through by the ocean, and that would not be at all surprising to see that again today, tonight and tomorrow. tomorrow. So here's a look at the flow coming ahead of the storm. It's going to be an easterly wind that drives into the Outer Banks and across the Pamlico and Albemarle Sounds here. They're the Outer Banks, so it's going to be oceanside flooding initially. Then as the storm comes up through the Outer Banks, we see the winds switch around and come out of the north, and then we get sound side flooding on the Outer Banks and flooding here in the Sounds and along the rivers as the water sloshes back and towards the Outer Banks. And then we also see that change in wind direction. And then another thing to mention is that Norfolk is very low and notorious for getting a lot of serious flooding when conditions are right. And we're going to have winds, initially east winds driving in there and then north winds driving in there. And with the path of this storm now coming right across the Outer Banks, that's even more serious for southeastern Virginia. Tidewater Virginia could be major flooding with the storm as it passes by.
Right, and you mentioned, for people vacationing on the Outer Banks, not maybe being so familiar, you could be stuck there. I mean, it's a situation that could leave you stranded.
Yeah, I hope there are not a lot of people who are still there because, there are not a lot of really big roads going in and out of the Outer Banks. I've been there many times, and it's, in a lot of cases, 1 or 2 lane roads. And hopefully we don't have a situation where people are having a difficult time getting out of there. Hopefully they did that yesterday for the most part. Here's the radar picture, and one thing that sort of pops out is this turn that we talked about for a long time. So there's a little bit of a curvature in the track right there. So it is going to come right up and along the coast, and that's what's going to take it up and over top and into that part of North Carolina that really sticks out. This is the eye and eye wall. The eye wall is the most serious part of the storm, and that is now just a little bit offshore. We've gotten some very strong wind coming into the coast. Carolina Beach reporting a wind gust of 62. Frying Pan Tower, which is actually a former lighthouse, now it's a B&B, if you can believe that, on a platform in the ocean, and they reported a wind gust to 82. And I just tweeted out a little while ago a video from a guy who's there and showing a massive wave coming underneath. Talk about having some bravery to do that.
Yeah, being in a very precarious situation. Yeah. And this is a very cool image, and for folks at home, it's showing the winds.
That's exactly right. This is the velocity, and so you see this tremendous wind now driving into the North Carolina coast, and that is what's going to be coming up and hitting eastern parts of North Carolina directly overnight tonight and early tomorrow morning.
All right. Thank you so much, Carl. We'll check in with you again. For now, we'll send it back over to Dave.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the update. Well, now let's take you right into the path of this hurricane. The Weather Channel's Mike Seidel joins us live from Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. And Mike, where you are, north of Cape Hatteras, you'd never know a tropical storm is on the way.
No, not at all, except what happened a couple of hours ago is the gradient wind, the wind around the far northern periphery of Arthur, took over and pushed the wind that was coming offshore out of the way, literally. So instead of the temperature being around 90 now, we've got that nice wind off the water, so temperatures are very comfortable in the mid-70s. This is low tide. This is not a very wide beach. They're waiting for the replenishment in a couple of years. Where I took Irene 3 years ago, the beach is much wider down towards Nag's Head. So the tide is going to come in around midnight. It's going to come up to here typically, but it's going to be higher as Arthur approaches. Fortunately, as Arthur comes through the area tomorrow morning, it's going to be low tide. Low tide around 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning. That is going to help us because you've got to subtract, the tide from the surge. So that's going to help us out certainly on this coastal flooding. Right now, we're going to watch it come up. The rainfall will not move in here until later on this evening. The worst of the weather between about 3 a.m. and 9 or 10 in the morning. We could get gusts, as Carl mentioned, 80 to 90 miles an hour. But just about everybody is sitting tight here on the Outer Banks north of the Inlet Bridge, Dave, because there's no mandatory evacuation here. And we're thinking the sun will be back out tomorrow afternoon, and barring a lot of damage or power outages, restaurants will be wide open for dinner. Dave, back to you.
That's good news. Just one rough night to get through tonight. Well, Hurricane Arthur is causing tornadoes possible in eastern North Carolina. And here in Baltimore, there's a cold front on the way. That's the reason for the heavy rain and stormy weather and the 2.5-hour delays at BWI. Back with more on Arthur next.
Currently in our area, 92 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 77. Chance of rain 40%. Independence Day, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 90. Chance of rain 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Hershey's Miniatures. Choosing is half the fun. Because there's a little something delicious for everyone. Hershey's Miniatures. Choose your own delicious.
At every Ford dealership, you'll find the works. It's a complete checkup of the services your vehicle needs. So prepare your car for any road trip by taking it to an expert Ford technician. Because no matter your destination, good maintenance helps you save at the pump.
Get our multi-point inspection with a synthetic blend oil change, tire rotation, brake inspection, and more for $29.95 or less.
Get a complete vehicle checkup only at your Ford dealer.
Driving on wet roads is dangerous. So before you get behind the wheel, go to weather.com/DDI and check the driving difficulty index. Brought to you by Subaru. Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Sun's out. Challenge issued.
New Coppertone Sport AccuSpray. Designed to help you spray where you want, not where you don't.
It's so on.
Coppertone Sport AccuSpray. It's on.
New Olympic Elite Advanced Stain and Sealant in 1 has revolutionary color-rich technology and 4-season protection package that penetrates deep to protect and beautify.
Dad, I'm hungry.
New Olympic Elite.
Dad.
New Olympic Elite. From America's most trusted brand since 1938. Only at Lowe's.
Who's he talking to?
I don't know, honey. I don't know.
Want to celebrate the 4th without little uninvited guests? Stop by your neighborhood Ace to get Ortho Home Defense Max with Comfort Wand. Just $9.99 after $3 instant savings during our 4th of July event. Happening now.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Hey, let's talk probiotics. For digestive health?
Erin Andrews?
Yeah, and did you know TruBiotics is a daily probiotic that helps in 2 ways? It supports digestive and immune health by working in your gut, where 70% of your immune system lives. Now in chewables.
Sometimes you just know when you've hit a home run. That's how I feel about Blue Emu Pain Relief Spray. Odorless and fast-acting, it soothes all my muscle aches and pains. And it's convenient for those hard-to-reach places. And if you're like me, you'll love Blue Emu Super Strength Cream. It's made with real emu oil. It's non-greasy. It's a deep penetrating formula that works itself down into your joints. Take it from me, it works fast and you won't stink. Blue Emu, it works for me, it'll work for you.
Ike. Andrew. Rita. Ivan. Sandy. Meet Chris. Jackie. Joe. Shannon. Minor damage or major disaster. When you need us most, we're there. State Farm. We're a force of nature, too.
Well, here on Weather Center Live, we continue to monitor Hurricane Arthur, but we continue to also watch the Northeast. Severe thunderstorm watches in play from Maine all the way down into parts of southern Virginia. Then in eastern North Carolina, we have a tornado watch until 2 a.m. Eastern time due to Hurricane Arthur. Let's send it over to our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, with more.
And Alex, there have been a couple of tornadoes reported. Haven't had any reports of damage yet, but Rose Hill and Rooks in North Carolina from a couple warnings earlier from those outer bands coming onshore from Hurricane Arthur. Take a look. It's for that reason that I have given here a chance of damaging wind gusts and tornadoes across that eastern North Carolina. Maybe later tonight might just graze the Virginia Beach area. And in terms of the tornado condition index, I've given a 5 on a 10-point scale, about a 50% chance of a tornado within 50 miles across these areas, especially the eastern part of, and now beginning to work its way toward northeast North Carolina. It's not the eye wall. It's not these more stratiform bands. It's these convective bands, these lumpier bands that have thunderstorms that are off toward the north and east quadrants of the hurricane. That goes from around Topsail Beach or North Topsail Beach here up toward the Morehead City area. At the moment, no tornado warnings in these, but there are some circulations. Right at the moment, the winds at about 3,000 to 4,000 feet are about 50 miles per hour coming in these bands. And so that occasionally will give just enough change of winds with height that we could get a tornado develop out of that. There you can see the circulation of Arthur as it heads northeast. If it grazes and stays offshore, the tornado threat will be lower than if it angles its way inland. We also have this cold pocket aloft that is coming up and driving a cold front across parts of the northeast where we've had 2-inch hail in several places, some trees and power lines down, including a 70-mile-per-hour measured gust in Washington, D.C. Lots of trees and lines down there. A cluster of storms now is mostly pushed away from there up into the Baltimore area where we have severe thunderstorm warnings, including Anne Arundel, Baltimore County, and City. And that is pushing its way off toward the north and east into Maryland there in the Aberdeen area. Baltimore and Harford counties included. Hail and damaging winds, especially the winds, a threat here. Big picture then, anywhere from extreme northeast Massachusetts, southeast New Hampshire, and then especially from east central down into east central New York down into Pennsylvania, we have a number of severe thunderstorm warnings. I'll show a few of those. One storm here just to the east of Queensbury area, followed by a storm that earlier had tornado warnings. It's coming across Fulton, Hamilton, and Saratoga counties. So hail and damaging winds a threat there. Then off to the north of New York City and well up into New Jersey here, north of Patterson, Morrison, Sussex counties, you have severe thunderstorm warnings, as well as then looking at some of the locations over in Pennsylvania, not too far south of Hazleton and near the Pottsville area, Schuylkill County, one of the counties that are under severe thunderstorm warning. So hail, damaging winds, and of course, as always, watch out for the lightning. And of course, be careful down there around Hurricane Arthur. Let's go back to the studio. Dave and Alex.
Thank you so much, Dr. Forbes. You are looking live at Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina, where the waves are coming ashore, the rain is coming down, and folks have left the beach. Some of our live shots, we were seeing people out there, but this is a very urgent situation now. We want to tell everybody to get to their safe spot, hoping a lot of people just went ahead and left.
Right. Well, it's now certain that Hurricane Arthur, or at least part of it, the eye wall, is probably going to hit the Outer Banks sometime tonight. If that happens, it's the first time that we get a strike in the U.S. since 2012, and the timing couldn't be worse.
Millions are celebrating the holiday weekend, but do have to deal with Arthur. Here is an update on the people impacted with Julie Martin.
All right, guys, we're getting a rare glimpse of Hurricane Arthur's effects from off the coast of North Carolina. Take a look at this. This video was shot from the Frying Pan Tower. It's a former Coast Guard light station that's been restored and converted into a bed and breakfast. It's located about 34 miles off the coast. Now, the folks who shot this video reported seas of about 10 to 12 feet and wind gusts of about 50 miles per hour. Pretty incredible. Well, people in the resort town of Topsail Beach are boarding up their houses in anticipation of Arthur's arrival. For those deciding to move inland, the Red Cross has set up shelters in Beaufort and Pender counties. They also have shelters in the towns of Jacksonville and Holly Ridge. And Alex and Dave, Duke Energy is reporting that over 4,000 people are already without power in the Wilmington area, and we can expect more power outages to come throughout the night.
As the night falls, right?
Exactly.
We'll have the latest on Hurricane Arthur and more on the severe weather, too, next.
These weeds are on a mission to hide every bottle of Bayer Advanced Durazone. They know Durazone kills weeds and grasses for up to 6 months. That's 2 months longer than Roundup Extended Control. And Durazone provides more coverage. It goes 50% further than Roundup Extended Control for a better value. It's no wonder weeds are terrified of Durazone.
Found 2 more in plumbing.
Get more from the blue bottle. Bayer Advanced Durazone.
Visit BayerAdvanced.com for more information and to find a local retailer near you.
Searching with devotion for a snack that isn't lame, but this takes my breath away.
Tomorrow morning on America's Morning Headquarters, we're tracking Arthur. Our AMHQ experts are live all across the region tomorrow morning only on your Weather Channel. Tomorrow morning on America's Morning Headquarters, we're tracking the first hurricane of the Atlantic season, Arthur. Our AMHQ experts are live all across the region with the first word on tracking Arthur and how it will affect your 4th of July. Tomorrow morning on AMHQ, following Wake Up with Al, only on your Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 92 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, Independence Day. Thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 90. Chance of rain 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Man, these cheesy bread dogs are incredible.
Real
The
good.
cheese is baked right into the bun.
You know, in this case, it really is what's on the outside that counts.
Maybe that phrase, it's what's on the inside that counts, isn't
Yeah.
true.
I mean, I've only been judging books by their covers.
Really?
I only read the cover.
Oh, you don't read what's inside?
No. I could read 2, 3 covers. Cover to cover. Cover and cover.
Count on the cheesy goodness of the new Cheesy Bread Dogs. They're the perfect match for any of our 25 shakes. This is how you Sonic.
Discover card. Hey, I heard you guys can help me with fraud protection.
Sure, we help with fraud protection. If there are unauthorized purchases on your Discover card, you're never held responsible.
You are saying frog protection.
Fraud.
Frog.
Fraud.
I think we're on the same page.
At Discover, we treat you like you'd treat you. Fraud protection. Get it at discover.com.
It's always the same dilemma. Who gets the Allstate Safe Driving Bonus check?
Rock beats scissors.
Wife beats rock.
And with 2 checks a year, everyone wins.
Switch today and get 2 safe driving bonus checks a year for driving safely only from Allstate. Call 877-218-2500 now.
Zach really loves his new camera. Problem is, this isn't Zach. It's a friend of a friend who was at Zach's party and stole his camera. But Zach's got it covered with Allstate Renters Insurance.
Protect your valuables for as low as $4 a month when you add renter's insurance to your Allstate auto policy. Call 877-218-2500 now.
What are you doing?
We're switching car insurance
Why?
because these guys are the cheapest.
Why?
Good question. Because a cut rate price could mean cut rate protection.
You should listen to this guy.
With Allstate, you get great protection, a great price, plus an agent, and safe drivers can save up to 45%. Call now and see how much you can save.
Just a few more ways Allstate is changing car insurance for good.
Call an Allstate agent and get a quote now.
You know, there's a more enjoyable way to get your fiber. Try Phillips Fiber Good Gummies.
Located in a discreet and tranquil Palm Beach County, Florida setting, the Rehab Center for Women provides expert and compassionate care for women who are suffering from substance abuse, trauma, and mental illness. We offer custom treatment plans, including medical detox and specialized rehab to give women the strength and focus they need to begin living the lives they deserve. You don't have to suffer anymore. Call 888-302-5579 or visit helpforwomen.com to start healing today.
How you see investing depends on your perspective. While some focus on the short term, we see long-term rewards for those who stay invested. Having navigated up and down markets for over 60 years, we know how to spot smart investments. At home and abroad, in all market cycles. It's made us a global leader in investment management. Franklin Templeton Investments. Gain from our perspective.
Caused by exposure to asbestos.
Call 1-800-278-0768 now.
Tomorrow morning on America's Morning Headquarters, we're tracking Arthur. Our AMHQ experts are live all across the region tomorrow morning only on your Weather Channel.
Hurricane Arthur getting close to North Carolina, but there's already an Arthur in North Carolina.
There is. Awful Arthur's Oyster Bar saying, hey, we were here first. Hopefully not a lot of people at the Outer Banks now, because Carl, with the latest update, we are now seeing this get closer. It does look like a much more serious situation, and we want people to know about all the threats.
Yeah, and we are really zeroing in on the idea of this storm now moving into eastern North Carolina, whereas last night, maybe even earlier today, we're still leaving open the possibility that the core of the storm might be just to the east of the Outer Banks. Now it appears that it is almost certainly going to come right over the Sounds and the Outer Banks, and that's going to mean the maximum impact from this storm, which could very well be a Category 2 when that happens. So right now, 90-mile-per-hour storm. It's nearly a Category 2. It's moving northeast at 13, northeast, I should say, at 13 miles per hour. And this is the change that we got with the 5 o'clock package, where earlier tracks from the Hurricane Center had included an area that was farther offshore. In this case, it really has been narrowed to include eastern North Carolina. So again, looking at the possibility of a Category 2 hurricane, and almost certainly this storm is going to come right over top of areas from Morehead City and Beaufort, Atlantic Beach, into the Sounds, into mainland Dare, Hyde counties, and then into the Outer Banks, and then it's going to be rapidly moving out after tomorrow morning. So this is going to be tonight, overnight, tomorrow morning. That is the time frame for all of this weather. Now, here's a look at the model forecast showing you these strong winds coming in. I think it's a pretty good representation of that. 40 to 50 mile per hour sustained winds there, Beaufort and Wilmington tonight as that storm approaches. Then as the core moves in, talking about 60 to 75 mile per hour wind getting into Cape Hatteras there. Winds really picking up farther northward around Manteo and Kill Devil Hills. Winds continue to be very strong in Beaufort, and of course we'll be piling up the water all during this time. And then even into tomorrow morning, talking about sustained winds up around 50, 60, maybe 70 miles per hour. So winds gusting in this case through late tonight, overnight, very early tomorrow morning to 80, 90 miles per hour potentially. And that certainly is enough to cause structural damage. Now, storm begins to move out through mid-morning, and then the winds really come down dramatically into tomorrow afternoon. But as mentioned, what's going to happen here is that wind is going to pile up the water, and so we're talking about a 3 to 5 foot storm surge potentially along the Outer Banks, which generally have an elevation of 3 to 6 feet. So that could mean significant inundation in some areas, coastal overwash. We've seen that many times before, where Highway 12 has actually been cut through. New inlets are formed by hurricanes, and we may see that again tonight and early tomorrow. Looking at an onshore flow coming into the Outer Banks, so oceanside flooding here, coastal flooding along the Outer Banks as the storm approaches. Then as it comes through, we'll see the winds switch around and come out of the north, and then we see sound side flooding there. And another area of concern is initially east winds and then north winds coming into Tidewater, Virginia, an area that is notorious for being vulnerable to flooding, and they could be in for significant flooding with this storm now definitely coming up and across eastern parts of North Carolina. There's the radar picture, and looking at that turn there over the last 6 hours, you can see how it's just missing Cape Fear to the south, and very strong winds now are just offshore. That is the eye wall right in there, and within that, we're talking about winds that show up very well here in the velocity of 80 miles per hour, perhaps certainly 60, 70 miles per hour right there at the center of circulation. And you can see the much larger circulation that comes around that and well into eastern parts of North Carolina. So major storm on the way for eastern North Carolina tonight, and we're going to be with you all night long. Dave, Alex, back to you.
And it's good to have you too, Carl Parker, our hurricane specialist.
All right, we've got much more on Hurricane Arthur, as well as the severe weather that has been moving into parts of the Northeast. We're also going to look at your 4th of July forecast, although for some spots, Dave, I think they already know.
Yeah, but this thing's moving. Well, we'll get more on the storm and where it ends up next.
Currently in our area, 93 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 77. Chance of rain, 40%. Independence Day, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon, high 90. Chance of rain, 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
From the Weather Channel headquarters in Atlanta, you're watching Hurricane Central.
We're on alert for the next 24 hours for what is now Hurricane Arthur. Our first hurricane of the Atlantic season will impact millions of people along the East Coast as it heads toward North Carolina overnight tonight.
And we'll tell you how strong it will get, what it means for your holiday weekend. And the man with most of those answers, if not all of them, is our hurricane specialist, Brian Norcross, senior hurricane specialist, Brian Norcross. First, a look at Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina.
That's right near Cape Fear, and the hurricane is just south of there. The eye wall with the strongest winds is just offshore, and it's moving toward the northeast right now, heading up toward Camp Lejeune and Cape Lookout. But it's close enough here to make getting into the water absolutely the worst thing you could possibly do. Tropical storm force conditions are occurring right now.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Alex Wilson.
And I'm Dave Schwartz. We're going to want to keep the Weather Channel right here. We have so much to talk about. And then at the top of next hour, we'll have new information from the National Hurricane Center about the strength of this hurricane.
They will be issuing updates every 2 hours now with this storm so close to land and making those impacts felt. Want to get you updated with the latest news from Hurricane Arthur. Dare County emergency managers are urging those who have not chosen to evacuate to reconsider because the time to leave is now.
Eastern North Carolina Red Cross has opened evacuation shelters in Beaufort County at Southside and Northside high schools.
And a state of emergency has been declared for Pender County, North Carolina. Officials are asking residents to remain indoors. So let's get right to senior hurricane specialist Brian Norcross.
All right, Alex and Dave, we have lots of new information coming in from the National Hurricane Center. Just got in an update on the position, as a matter of fact. And we have a lot of things coming out of the 5 o'clock advisory because the track has been adjusted to the north, which affects North Carolina in a different kind of way. It also would seem to affect southeastern Virginia, the tidewater, because it looks like the hurricane will come closer to there. Not a direct hit by any means, but closer to there. So lots of new things, including a much earlier landfall, we think, and almost a certain landfall in North Carolina, where that was in question even earlier today. So let's get right to it. This is the new update from the National Hurricane Center as of 6 o'clock, where they update the position and we get the just if they have any new thinking at all on the numbers. Okay, here you have 90-mile-an-hour winds, 977 pressure, and moving to the north-northeast at 13 miles an hour. Now, when we look at this in high resolution here, we see, let me put on the dot there where Wrightsville Beach is. It's right down there, and we see how close the hurricane is, and the eye wall is just offshore. And our Reynolds Wolf is in Wrightsville Beach right now. Reynolds, what is going on there now?
The latest we got now, just had another band that's coming through. I mean, it's amazing, Brian, the transformation we've seen from earlier today, where we had moments of tranquility. Tranquility right now, my friend, is long gone. Rains coming in sheets. The fetch is more of a northeasterly component for the time being. Visibility so poor, you look right off the water, and I mean, you just have just a wall of where it almost becomes. It's not even transparent anymore, more opaque. You can almost have really a difficult time seeing the very end of the pier itself. Wave action, Brian, we got two, my man. Had surf the elements. You know, it's fool's courage. They're in at this point. That's certainly some good news. The bad news that we're still going to continue to have the wind wind and the waves, and certainly this driving rainfall for a time. You guys were talking about the threats. Flooding, actually one of them, of course. Not only right here on the Outer Banks, but some inland also. The state of North Carolina is well prepared for that. They already have high water rescue teams at the ready. Certainly a good idea. Standing by. They're ready to be out if need be. For the people here trying to exercise as much patience as they have, this is the 4th of July weekend, don't you know? Hoping the storm lifts up, moves out, and there's a better weekend ahead. But right now, my man, it is all Arthur. Let's send it back to you, Brian.
All right, Reynolds, thanks very much. They're being very lucky because this closest approach here of Arthur looks like it's just going to miss them. Hang on there, Reynolds. Looks like it's just going to miss the Wrightsville Beach area, and it's low tide there. So thanks very much, Reynolds. We will stay in close touch with you there. I want to get to the radar because I want to show folks what's coming up next after this close approach here, but it looks like a miss for Cape Fear and Wrightsville Beach. All right, back to the satellite. There is where Reynolds was right there, and we can see where these bright whites are in the satellite right there. So it's just offshore, and the radar tells the story. There's the eye right there, and this is the strongest winds right in this area here with the hurricane, and there's where Reynolds was there. So that's how close this is. Now what he's getting this band right in there. Now other bands farther out actually have some stronger gusty winds, and Dr. Forbes will be here in just a little bit to talk about that. But let's put this in motion and watch the movement. And you can see this eye is moving by the Wrightsville Beach area, but it's heading up here a little bit farther north up the coast toward Jacksonville and Camp Lejeune. And let me just zoom in there on that. Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, here we go. All right, I just wanted to move up here and zoom in so you can see what direction this is going. So it's coming up this way. So it looks like this eye is going to come very close to the Morehead City, Beaufort area. This is Point Lookout right here, and it looks like that's going to happen later on this evening, maybe in the 11 o'clock or midnight time frame. But it could wobble a little to the north. It still could wobble a little to the west. We're not absolutely pinned down on that certainty there on exactly what's going to happen with that. And I'm afraid that my computer there just locked up. So let me tell you what the issue is here. Is with this new track that now looks like is going to come over the land area of North Carolina, is almost certainly what that does is that initially puts the wind in from the south along the Outer Banks, and then when it goes by, the wind will now push the water from the south and push the water up to the northern end of Pamlico Sound, and then it goes by and it turns and it pushes the water the other way against the backside of the Outer Banks. So this raises the possibility of the water being high in the overnight hours, 3 to 5 feet above the high tide line on the Sound side. So we're going to look at this in detail here coming up in just a little bit. But on the Sound side, the big threat is this water rise from Pamlico Sound up against the Outer Banks, and we want everybody there to stay safe. All right, send it back to you, Alex and Dave. We'll see you in a little bit.
Thanks a lot. Well, millions are preparing for our first hurricane in the Atlantic season to make landfall sometime tonight east of Wrightsville Beach.
For you. Yeah, that ice cream man has nothing on us. It's not even a competition. Thank you, Walmart.
More ice cream, more summer fun. Walmart.
I've used Blue Emu for over 10 years now. It's made with real emu oil. It's a non-greasy, deep-penetrating formula that works itself down into my joints. And for all those hard-to-reach aches and pains, now there's Blue Emu Pain Relief Spray. Take it from me, it works fast and you won't stink.
Kids are fed?
Kids are fed. Homework is done. Baths are taken.
I'm impressed. Looks like you've got everything under control.
We got it all under control here. We're all good, right, guys?
Yeah. Yeah, we're all good here. Yep.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Love you.
Finally, a paint that's stain resistant and scrubbable. Introducing new Valspar Reserve. Now get $10 to $40 off our best paint and stains.
Tomorrow morning on America's Morning Headquarters, we're tracking the first hurricane of the Atlantic season, Arthur. Our AMHQ experts are live all across the region with the first word on tracking Arthur and how it will affect your 4th of July. Tomorrow morning on AMHQ, following Wake Up with Al, only on your Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 93 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, Independence Day. Thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 90. Chance of rain 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Tomorrow morning on America's Morning Headquarters, we're tracking Arthur. Our AMHQ experts are live all across the region. Tomorrow morning only on your Weather Channel.
Waves don't care what age you are. Take them on the way you always have. Live healthy and take One-A-Day Men's 50 Plus, a complete multivitamin with 7 antioxidants to support cell health. Age? Who cares?
At every Ford dealership, you'll find the works. It's a complete checkup of the services your vehicle needs. So prepare your car for any road trip by taking it to an expert Ford technician. Because no matter your destination, good maintenance helps you save at the pump.
Get our multi-point inspection with the synthetic blend oil change, tire rotation, brake inspection, and more for $29.95 or less.
Get a complete vehicle checkup only at your Ford dealer.
That's smooth. Transform your worn weather deck into a beautiful barefoot-friendly surface with Olympic Rescue It wood and concrete resurfacer.
Who are you talking to?
Olympic Rescue It, from America's most trusted brand since 1938. Available at Lowe's.
Ugh, this dress.
New Coppertone Clearly Sheer sunscreens. Barely noticeable and face-friendly for beach, pool, and sunny days. Perfect, no matter what you're wearing.
It's so on.
Coppertone Clearly Sheer. It's on.
Want to celebrate the 4th without little uninvited guests? Stop by your neighborhood Ace to get Ortho Home Defense Max with Comfort Wand. Just $9.99 after $3 instant savings during our 4th of July event, happening now.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
We continue to monitor Hurricane Arthur, but of course our other big story is the severe weather that's going on. We've got severe thunderstorm watches all the way from Maine down into southern sections of Virginia. These go until 9 or 10 o'clock Eastern, depending on where you are. Then the tornado watch until 2 a.m. Friday for eastern sections of North Carolina, and this is due to Arthur. So let's get to our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, for more on the threats.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, we've had a couple of reports of tornadoes in North Carolina from Arthur. Right at the moment, no tornado warnings, but we'll continue to monitor the situation. I've put in this area the chance for damaging wind gusts and a chance of a tornado in the eastern parts of North Carolina, maybe later on tonight all the way up into the Virginia Beach area. How far inland this threat goes will be determined to some extent by how far inland Arthur's track goes. So at least the eastern parts of North Carolina, I've given a Torcon of 5, 50% chance of a tornado within 50 miles. Now, typically in these hurricanes that are about to make landfall, the threat is over in the right front quadrant, not right in the eye wall, but instead in these outer rain bands that have some thunderstorms embedded in that. And that at this point is up in the area from around Surf City up into the Morehead City area. There's a couple of areas that have those within that, and then inland about as far as the Kinston area. So at the moment, as I say, no tornado warnings, but there's a couple in there that are a little bit suspicious, have some rotation, especially as they're offshore. So there's Arthur scooting along, getting close to the coast of North Carolina. There's an upper air disturbance. Can you see the spin there coming across Michigan? That is pushing a cold front across parts of the Northeast. One tornado warning in there. Quite a number of severe thunderstorm warnings. We've had 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts in Washington, D.C. with trees and lines down. That cluster of storms has also now gone across Baltimore. Heading toward the Philadelphia area, we've had 2-inch hail as well in some of the storms today. So pretty stormy day. Here is some noise on the radar there, but coming across now Cecil, Chester, Kent counties up in northeast parts of Maryland. And that's going to ultimately work its way up toward the Philadelphia area. I've tried to time it out, probably coming into Philadelphia about 8:14 if this holds together. Wind and some 1-inch hail are probably the main threats with that. Then all sorts of severe thunderstorms across eastern parts of New York, including a tornado warning here that's over in eastern parts of Pennsylvania. We're talking Carbon and Monroe counties down in the southeast side of this storm as it heads northeast toward west of Stroudsburg. Probably coming toward the Polk area of Pennsylvania about 6:30, Mount Pocono about 7 o'clock. So be on the lookout for that. Individual severe thunderstorms coming up now toward Rutland, Vermont, down around Queensbury and Saratoga Springs in the New York area, and then continuing down into places like off to the north and west of White Plains there, the Stony Point, New York area. That storm has a bit of an appendage on it. We'll have to see if that one in Bergen, Passaic, and Rockland counties will begin to have some kind of an additional tornado threat. So, Dave, it's a stormy day out there, and of course we're continuing to keep our eye on Arthur.
We sure are. Dr. Forbes, I'll tell you, I'm glad you're on the case for those severe thunderstorms. Here, we are awaiting for the 7 o'clock update. The new advisory times are now every 2 hours rather than 3 hours since the hurricane is right close to the United States. So 7 p.m. is the next update from the National Hurricane Center. This is the information from the 5 o'clock update on Hurricane Arthur. 90-mile-per-hour winds. The pressure now down to, if you had a home barometer on this thing, 28.85 inches of mercury. The movement is north-northeast at 13 miles per hour. At this point, it's pretty much paralleling the coast of North Carolina with the strongest winds near the center, just offshore. This is moving in that direction, maybe perhaps more northeast than north. If you live north of Cape Hatteras, the weather's been fine, but it's going to be going downhill quickly tonight. So if you have anything to do, now's the time to do it. Later on tonight, it'll be too dangerous to go outside. Alex, back to you.
Thank you so much, Dave. We continue to monitor Arthur. Take a look at this, a water spout off of Topsail Island, South Carolina. Just one of the impacts that we are seeing. Let's take a live look at Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina now, where we've got crews giving live reports. We will have much more on this storm after your local on the 8s.
You know, there's a more enjoyable way to get your fiber. Try Phillips Fiber Good Gummies. They're delicious and an excellent source of fiber to help support regularity.
These are good.
The tasty side of fiber from Phillips.
They lived.
They lived.
They lived. We lived, thanks to our Subaru.
Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
The best part of coming together is how delicious it can be. Hershey's S'mores, the unmistakable taste that reminds us that life is delicious.
Jack.
Energizer protects your devices from damaging leaks.
No matter what you're building, get professional results with Quikrete fast-setting concrete in the red bag. It sets hard in minutes. Find out more at Quikrete.com. Quikrete, for over 70 years, it's what America's made of.
Tomorrow morning on America's Morning Headquarters, we're tracking the first hurricane of the Atlantic season, Arthur. Our AMHQ experts are live all across the region with the first word on tracking Arthur.
Are you a man over 40 and feeling tired, losing muscle, have less romantic drive?
Then call now for the Ageless Male free testosterone giveaway. For the first time ever, not just 100 or 1,000, but every man who calls in the next few minutes will receive a free 30-day supply of Ageless Male. Ageless Male has ingredients clinically shown to increase free testosterone levels, and that supports muscle health, boosts romantic drive, and supports energy metabolism. Even though we've already sold over 800,000 bottles of Ageless Male, this is the first time ever we're offering Ageless Male for free. All you pay is shipping and handling. More muscle, more romantic drive, more energy. And it all starts with this amazing offer, the Ageless Male free testosterone giveaway. Your free 30-day supply is waiting for you. Call now.
Don't delay. This is a limited time offer. Call 1-800-517-1371 to secure your free bottle today. That's 1-800-517-1371 or visit agelessmalefree.com.
266-2838 now. That's 1-855-266-2838.
Tomorrow morning on America's Morning Headquarters, we're tracking Arthur. Our AMHQ experts are live all across the region tomorrow morning only on your Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 88 degrees with thunderstorms in the area. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 77. Chance of rain 40%. Independence Day, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon, high 90. Chance of rain 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us here on Weather Center Live. We have storms to tell you about up into the Northeast, plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings, and we do have a tornado warning for Carbon and Monroe counties. This includes the city of Chestnut Hill, Penn Forest, and Polk. You can see this storm is going to be moving off towards the west of the Stroudsburg area, north of Allentown on Interstate 476. So as you head towards the Route 80 exit, if you know somebody traveling there, they're going to head over towards the Hazleton area. This area is under a tornado warning at this point. We do have those storms forming off to the west of Philly. They are headed towards the city of Brotherly Love, Lancaster County, right now under a severe thunderstorm warning. Dave.
You know, we've got the same air mass over the Northeast giving rise to severe thunderstorms as Arthur has. The International Space Station, look at that. Looking down at the hurricane, that's the eye out there in the distance. We're looking at it. Isn't that awesome? 90-mile-an-hour maximum sustained winds. Astro Reed Wiseman is the astronaut who sent that to us. Awesome. The eye of Hurricane Arthur from outer space. Here we go, my friend. Let's get down to earth on this one. Hurricane Arthur means business. If you want to get out of the Outer Banks or out of the low country here in northeastern North Carolina because you know there's going to be flooding, go and go now. Later on, it's going to be too dangerous because some of the roads may be inundated. The Pamlico River empties up into the Pamlico Sound, and the water is going to back up in here. So all the way back to Washington, North Carolina, back 50 miles away from the ocean, there's going to be flooding due to the storm surge and the heavy rain coming down at the same time. Hurricane watch, coastal areas of southern North Carolina. Otherwise, it's a hurricane warning. Conditions will improve in Wilmington and Cape Fear and Myrtle Beach, but get worse out here toward Camp Lejeune and then inland toward New Bern, North Carolina. There could be some power outages in New Bern later on tonight, and certainly will be further east as we head out toward the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Hurricane Arthur, a dangerous, strong Category 1 hurricane, 5 more miles an hour. It's a Cat 2, and it'll stay right near the North Carolina coast all night. Let's get more on this hurricane with Alex.
Well, Dave, we want to take you right into the path of this hurricane now. Meteorologist Reynolds Wolf joins us live from Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina. And it was tricky when we last checked in with you, and Reynolds looks like it's just as tough right now.
is. I mean, think about the Carolina coast, and you think about these tropical systems that come roaring up right next to them. Think of a heavyweight boxer working a speed bag. One punch after another punch after another. We're getting one of the punches right now. One of the feeder bands that continues to drive in on the Tar Heel coast, and it has been simply brutal. Combination of rain. A lot of sand getting kicked up, too. We're going to continue to march this way. Hopefully, you guys can see me over the sea oats. If you take a look towards the end of the pier, you see about 100 yards out there, and visibility comes to a screeching halt. It stops altogether. You've got a wall of white. One thing that's so incredible about the beach here in Wrightsville is normally you have a beautiful, expansive view of the sun coming up in the morning. Just incredible. Now it's just a gray pallor for the time being. Waves coming in sets of 3, sometimes 5, roaring across. Plenty of foam that's getting kicked up. Brutal times out on that water. We had some surfers out there. Even those courageous surfers, or crazy surfers, you pick your poison, they're not out there for the time being. We're going to see over the next couple hours. This is what is in store for you on the Outer Banks. All of this is coming your direction. At the same time, keep in mind, it may be even more intense. So the crazy wave action that you see behind me, that stuff is making a beat on the Outer Banks. Get ready for it, folks. Brutal times coming. We got a long way.
All right, well, Reynolds Wolf live for us in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina.
Yeah, the rain and the wind got in the way of our transmission.
Going to be causing some problems. All right, let's switch gears. Take a look up into the northeast as we've got severe weather up that way.
Yeah, tornado warning in Pennsylvania. Let's get in here. Where are we? We're in east central Pennsylvania. Just north and west of Allentown, just north of Allentown, Carbon and Monroe counties. So if you live in Chestnut Hill, and that's not the Chestnut Hill near Philly, that's up here in east central Pennsylvania, Penn Forest or Polk. Be prepared to take cover. Tornado on radar, huh?
Yeah, all
Moving
right,
to the
we've
east.
got exclusive expert analysis on Arthur next.
Hurricane coverage is brought to you by State Farm. When nature strikes, State Farm is there to get you to a better state. Protect your property and loved ones by properly securing windows with storm shutters or plywood panels. This hurricane preparedness tip brought to you by State Farm.
Ike. Andrew. Rita. Ivan. Sandy. Meet Chris. Jackie. Joe. Shannon. Minor damage or major disaster. When you need us most, we're there. State Farm. We're a force of nature, too.
That's smooth. Transform your worn weather deck into a beautiful barefoot-friendly surface with Olympic Rescue It wood and concrete resurfacer.
Who are you talking to?
Olympic Rescue It, from America's most trusted brand since 1938. Available at Lowe's.
Listen up, Thunder Dragons. It's time to get a hotel.
Hey, Razor, check this out. We can save big with Priceline Express deals.
You know what, man? These guys ain't no dragons.
They're cool. These deals are legit.
Yeah, we're cool.
She's cool. We're cool.
Priceline Express deals are totally legit. Check this. Thousands of people book them every day and score killer deals. Now Priceline is piling on even more savings with its summer sale. So grab your giant beach towel and enter code SUMMER14. Look at me enjoying the deals.
I'm mom at the playground and the dog park. The kids get trail mix and you get a delicious Milo's Kitchen chicken meatball. I wish you liked my cooking that much.
Milo's Kitchen, made in the USA with chicken or beef as the #1 ingredient. The best treats come from the kitchen.
Right behind you.
Hey, let's talk probiotics.
For digestive health? Erin Andrews?
Yeah, and did you know TruBiotics is a daily probiotic that helps in 2 ways? It supports digestive and immune health by working in your gut, where 70% of your immune system lives. Now in chewables.
Sonic has like every slush flavor someone could ever want.
That's right. This is basically slush headquarters.
Where sour blue raspberry plans world domination.
What?
Get colorful with new Sonic slushes, now available with Nerds candy. This is how you Sonic.
Tomorrow morning on America's Morning Headquarters, we're tracking the first hurricane of the Atlantic season, Arthur. Our AMHQ experts are live all across the region with the first word on tracking Arthur and how it will affect your 4th of July. Tomorrow morning on AMHQ, following Wake Up with Al, only on your Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 88 degrees with thunderstorms in the area. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 77. Chance of rain, 40%. Independence Day, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon, high 90. Chance of rain, 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
And Monday, the Weather Channel is the only place to find them. Coast Guard, Cape Disappointment. Monday nights at 9 on the Weather Channel.
Live from the Weather Channel headquarters in Atlanta, you're watching Hurricane Central.
And thank you for staying with us for special coverage of Hurricane Arthur. I'm Dave Schwartz.
And I'm Alex Wilson. Let's get right to the latest on Hurricane Arthur with senior hurricane specialist Brian Norcross.
All right, Alex and Dave, we have new information. If you're just tuning in this afternoon, it's been a bit of a change in Arthur, although all part of the forecast anticipation. But I think a lot of people were thinking this is going to go south of Cape Hatteras, and they were thinking what that might do to where they are, and perhaps reacted to the idea that the storm would stay south of the Outer Banks and out over the water. But it is looking like that's not going to happen, most likely, although we can't still at this late hour say for sure. Let's get to the numbers. As of the 6 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center, still a 90-mile-an-hour Category 1 hurricane. That's the estimate. Hurricane hunters and NOAA research aircraft out there nonstop. Pressure is going down, so it still has an opportunity to intensify some more. National Hurricane Center indicating that that is indeed a possibility. And moving north-northeast, notice that motion. North-northeast is a direction like that, but that was just a short-term motion, and the question is it because it's been kind of wobbling, and how is that wobbling going to affect where it's going to come across the shore? Right now, it's moving in the direction of Jacksonville, Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, and it's moving at 13 miles per hour, so the forward speed is indeed picking up. Here on the radar, we can see the business part of this hurricane. That's it right there. That's where the strongest winds are, close to the center, and then a little less strong in this band out here. But both of those bands, notice there's Cape Fear right there. Wrightsville Beach, just up the road from Cape Fear, is just offshore. Our Reynolds Wolf has been out there, and we're trying to establish communications with him because of the satellite and the extremely heavy rain in this band here coming over Wrightsville Beach. Now, so that's 3 bands out. So this is number 1, there's number 2, and there's number 3. So each one generally, on average, has a little bit weaker winds. And there's a very strong squall band through Morehead City. Dr. Forbes will be here to talk about that one in just a little bit. Now let's put this into motion, and there you can see the movement of the eye is more or less in that direction, in the direction of Jacksonville and Morehead City, but it wobbles just a little bit, and it's kind of veered back a little bit to the right. So we'll see. Anyways, anywhere between there on land and just right along the coast toward Cape Hatteras looks like the best bet for the center of the storm, and where that rotation is has everything to do with what happens once it gets gets over there to Pamlico Sound and the Outer Banks. We're looking at the water rise. This is the flooding above the normally dry land. It's nothing going on right now because we're at low tide. So they're lucky so far here in the southern part of North Carolina. Now, let's look at the cone for the possibilities of where this is going to go. Now, the National Hurricane Center has shifted the cone a little bit to the north, just a little bit, but what that means is that most of the tracks now bring the storm over land. The big difference that makes is that the center of the storm is where the heaviest winds are, right around the center, in that kind of eye structure, even though it's not a well-defined eye on this hurricane yet. It still has a little time to pull that together in this warm water here just south of North Carolina. But the idea is that if it comes to the north, that changes the direction for the winds, and if it comes farther to the south. So everybody in eastern North Carolina needs to be on high alert here because the potential for flooding is extremely high. Then it moves farther on up to the north, and the very tip of Cape Cod is under a tropical storm warning because it's going to be a big circulation even if it comes out here, and you could get some tropical storm force winds. That's going to be overnight tomorrow night and on into Saturday morning. All right, so here's the timing now. Wrightsville Beach had a high tide, or has a high tide, coming up just after midnight. They're at low tide now, and this is where we're getting the flow coming in and pushing the water on up against the beach right now, but no flooding yet because the tide is helping things out and the worst winds are just offshore. Let's go ahead to 9 p.m. this evening. Now we're up around Beaufort and up toward Cape Hatteras. All this time, the wind is coming from the south over Pamlico Sound, which is inside the Outer Banks. That means the water is being pushed as we speak to the north end of that sound. Now, not in a big way because the wind isn't very strong out there, but high tide is on the outside here, on the ocean side, is about midnight tonight, just after midnight tonight. So when these winds, if these strongest winds come into Cape Hatteras on the ocean side, it's going to come in near high tide or maybe a little after high tide. It's going to come in very close to high tide around the Beaufort area. So high concern here for storm surge flooding along this coast on the ocean side. And then we get to the sound side discussion. So as the sound, the tide really is not so relevant. Here we are at midnight. Again, we're very close to high tide here. Water being pushed up on the ocean side of the Outer Banks. This is going to put a big strain on Highway 12 and that barrier island. Now we talk about the sound side. Now you see that the winds are pushing back south if the storm takes this location. It's coming around this way, pushing back south on the water that's been piled to the north in the sound. Then it goes back to the south. So both ends of the sound are threatened here, and the water could easily be 3 feet to 6 feet above the ground level, especially on the sound side of the barrier island. So this is a high threat for eastern North Carolina, and especially in the vicinity there of the Outer Banks. But notice that, remember, we don't know exactly where this hurricane's going to be. It could be over in this area here. If that's the case, then the water will continue to be pushed from south to north, because this direction is north the way we're looking at it. We're looking kind of due west here. So the bottom line is that since we don't know exactly the location of the storm, is it going to be pushing the water at its peak from south to north, or might it be out here pushing the water from north to south? Both really are about even possibilities at this time. So nobody should think, okay, I'm on the safe side of the sound. We just can't say that at this point. And then the storm goes on by, and now, wherever it is, it appears that the water would be pushed south in the sound. So as we get into the early Friday morning time frame, now the storm is past the Outer Banks, and the winds are coming from the north, and it's pushing water into the sound right along there, as we've noted. So this is, I just want to repeat, because this is really important, and this is the big important thing at this hour. hour. Because if you can still leave and you're on the Outer Banks, this is your last chance before the sun goes down. Because the forecast from the National Hurricane Center indicates that this water is going to pile up. And in their storm surge forecast, Michael Lowry is here, and we'll be looking at this here in minute detail coming up very soon. The water on the sound side of the Barrier Island, there's the Barrier Island, here comes the water piling up on this side, and it can cut off any kind of way you have to get off that island if you wait. So now is your last chance. If the road is open and they haven't closed it down yet where you are, now is your last chance to get off that Barrier Island. We just can't stress that enough. So let me send it back now to Alex and Dave, and we'll see you back here with Carl here in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you so much, our senior hurricane expert, Brian Norcross. We have some damage photos now coming in from the Rose Hill area of North Carolina. We are going to show you those pictures as we are getting them in. So we're beginning to see the damage. We're beginning to see the impacts. There's a look at the Teachee Rose Hill area, and you can see some damage to that home as the rain comes down.
Yeah, that could have been a tornado between Raleigh and Wilmington, North Carolina.
Currently in our area, 88 degrees with a thunderstorm. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 77. Chance of rain, 40%. Independence Day, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon, high 90. Chance of rain, 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Are on a mission to hide every bottle of Bayer Advanced Durazone. They know Durazone kills weeds and grasses for up to 6 months. That's 2 months longer than Roundup Extended Control. And Durazone provides more coverage. It goes 50% further than Roundup Extended Control for a better value. It's no wonder weeds are terrified of Durazone.
Found 2 more in plumbing.
Get more from the blue bottle, Bayer Advanced Durazone.
Visit BayerAdvanced.com for more information and to find a local retailer near you.
That's smooth. Transform your worn weather deck into a beautiful barefoot-friendly surface with Olympic Rescue It Wood and Concrete Resurfacer.
Who are you talking to?
Olympic Rescue It, from America's most trusted brand since 1938. Available at Lowe's.
Kids are fed?
Kids are fed. Homework is done. Baths are taken.
I'm impressed. Looks like you've got everything under control.
We got it all under control here. We're all good, right, guys?
Yeah, we're all good here. Yep.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Love you.
Finally, a paint that's stain resistant and scrubbable. Introducing new Valspar Reserve. Now get $10 to $40 off our best paint and stains.
Searching with devotion for a snack that isn't lame, but this takes my breath away.
Don't miss Red Lobster's new Lobster Toppers event. 4 entrees starting at just $15.99, like our new Lobster Top Wood Grilled Shrimp or the new Lobster Top Lobster. And now, for lunch, try our new lobster tacos, just $9.99. And soon, so hurry in.
Want to celebrate the 4th without little uninvited guests? Stop by your neighborhood Ace to get Ortho Home Defense Max with Comfort Wand, just $9.99 after $3 instant savings during our 4th of July event, happening now.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Come on. Sweeten any moment with soft, fruity, chewy Fruit Vines Bites from the Red Vines family. Introducing Fruit Vines Bites. Live on the sweet side with Fruit Vines.
3, 2, 1, go.
Clearly Sheer sunscreens. Barely noticeable and face-friendly for beach, pool, and sunny days. Perfect, no matter what you're wearing.
It's so on.
Coppertone Clearly Sheer. It's on.
Waves don't care what age you are. Take them on the way you always have. Live healthy and take One-A-Day Men's 50 Plus, a complete multivitamin with 7 antioxidants to support cell health. Age? Who cares?
At every Ford dealership, you'll find the works. It's a complete checkup of the services your vehicle needs. So prepare your car for any road trip by taking it to an expert Ford technician. Because no matter your destination, good maintenance helps you save at the pump.
Get our multi-point inspection with a synthetic blend oil change, tire rotation, brake inspection, and more for $29.95 or less.
Get a complete vehicle checkup only at your Ford dealer.
Well, severe weather up in the Northeast, our other big story. Take a look at this, a funnel cloud in Hershey, Pennsylvania. We have been watching thunderstorms into south central and southeastern PA, and this is a pretty ominous looking funnel cloud.
It sure is. I mean, that is I don't know if it's a tornado, if it's hitting the ground or what.
Well, that's a good looking one. Yeah, hard to tell with the tree line. Right. But let's send it over to our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, with more maybe on that and also on all the severe thunderstorm watches that we've got in the Northeast. Also a tornado watch in eastern North Carolina.
Well, thus far, we've seen some funnel clouds, and in North Carolina, reports of 2 tornadoes. Those would be associated with Hurricane Arthur. Let's take a look. For that reason, as these rain bands come on shore from hurricanes, we often get some spotty damaging wind gusts and isolated tornadoes, and so I have read in there from Arthur with a torcon of 5, a 50% chance of a tornado within 50 miles, especially in these Outer Banks areas and a little bit inland there in that red shaded area. Now, typically, as the hurricanes are moving something like that, it's the right front quadrants, and it's not really in the eye wall areas. It's these outer rain bands that are out and have, in fact, some pretty big tops. There's some 49,000 foot thunderstorm tops embedded in this rain band that's coming into the Morehead City area. And there are some circulations in there. No tornado warnings at the moment, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see one. For example, right in here, a pretty strong rotation is showing up south and east of Merrimon with that red and green couplet there. There's a few other places with some pretty strong shear that are showing up offshore. So taking a look at the high-resolution Doppler radar up in here in the Havelock area, there's a little curly Q showing up in here. There's some things that are getting kind of suspicious in terms of having potential tornadoes. Then as we head up into the northeast, upper air disturbance, cold pocket aloft, driving a cold front eastbound. All sorts of severe thunderstorms from Vermont down into New York and into the mid-Atlantic, as well as one thunderstorm on the tail end of that front that's over right around the Charlotte area. Mecklenburg County, you have severe thunderstorm warning there. Storms have had 70-mile-per-hour moon gusts measured earlier in Washington. Now that cluster of thunderstorms is rolling its way up across parts of Maryland, southeast Pennsylvania, toward the Philadelphia area. Chester, Delaware, Newcastle counties, you have severe thunderstorm warnings. And timing that out, could come into Philadelphia with strong gusty winds there about 7:17 p.m. Tornado warnings that had been up in the Northeast have expired for the moment, but lots of other severe thunderstorms. Stay safe, folks. Move indoors and don't let that lightning get you. Let's go back now to Dave and Alex.
Dr. Greg Forbes, thank you so much. Well, there's a mandatory evacuation order for the lower part of the Outer Banks right now.
Even still, that doesn't mean that everybody heeded the warning and took off from Hatteras Island. Dave Malkoff takes us beyond the checkpoint.
Well, there was a mandatory evacuation for Hatteras Island.
One last look at those old lighthouses, and the tourists are getting out of town.
It's like the biggest week of the year, and to have everyone leave, it's not going to be good economically for sure.
Especially on the 4th of July weekend.
The sea chest is closed up tight. These boards have seen a lot of use over the years.
They've done the trick so far, amazingly enough.
Decades of hurricanes have already taken their toll here in the mandatory evacuation zone. You may remember 15 years ago, crews painstakingly moved the iconic Cape Hatteras Lighthouse almost 3,000 feet away from the ocean waves to protect it. Normally, this would be a hot spot for tourists, but the National Park Service has it cut off, abandoned until after the storm.
I live here, so I'm not going to evacuate.
Storm-tested locals know the danger, but stay every time.
Category 4 would be different.
Almost.
I wouldn't be here.
Emergency managers could evacuate the entire Outer Banks, and they have in the past. We're told that takes about 18 hours to do, and it's not going to happen today. The staff at the Sea Chest will ride it out.
even though the store's founder died about a month ago.
This is the final season. I think this is it for the store as we know it.
So as they leave, no matter what happens with this hurricane, the sea chest will unfortunately remain shuttered for good. In Rodanthe, North Carolina, Dave Malikoff, the Weather Channel.
Well, Hurricane Arthur is moving up the East Coast, kicking up waves and rip currents, too.
And people along the Carolina coast are bracing for this storm. Expert Carl Parker is tracking Arthur's path. He will let us know when it is expected to make landfall and what effects you can expect next.
This is what it looks like at Wrightsville Beach. And we're getting similar reports up at Surf City, Topsail Beach. This is headed for the Outer Banks.
It's your time at Best Western this summer, so enjoy your family time, your breakfast time, and your adventure time, and get a free night for your next time. Stay 3 separate times and get a free night. Book now at bestwestern.com.
After winning 10 Gold Gloves, I know when I've made a great catch. That's why for over 10 years I've used Blue Emu. It's made with real emu oil. It's a non-greasy, deep penetrating formula that works itself down into my joints. And now for those hard to reach places, there's new Blue Emu Pain Relief Spray. Odorless, made with an active ingredient for pain relief. It will soothe those muscles and get down into that joint pain. Take it from me, it works fast and you won't stink. Blue Emu, it works for me, it'll work for you.
Tomorrow morning on America's Morning Headquarters, we're tracking Arthur. Our AMHQ experts are live all across the region tomorrow morning only on your Weather Channel.
You're fired. You can't fire me. I'm the captain of this boat. I'm facing an uphill battle here. Never put your hands on me again, period.
Catch James on Catching Hell, Sunday at 9, only on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 88 degrees with a thunderstorm. Tonight, Independence Day. Thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 90. Chance of rain 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Defiance is in our bones. Defiance never grows old. Citracal Maximum, calcium citrate plus D. Highly soluble, easily absorbed.
That's smooth. Transform your worn weather deck into a beautiful barefoot-friendly surface with Olympic Rescue It Wood and Concrete Resurfacer.
Who are you talking to?
Olympic Rescue It, from America's most trusted brand since 1938. Available at Lowe's.
You ready? Let's do this.
Listen up, families. Yeah. Summer has arrived. It's time to have some fun. Let's go.
Well done.
Come to Walmart's Summer of Savings event, going on right now. With thousands of items on clearance and rollback, you'll get everything you need to make the most of the 4th. Save money, live better. Walmart.
Jack.
Energizer protects your devices from damaging leaks.
So, I'm walking down the street, just, walking, and I found myself in the middle of this parade honouring America's troops, which is actually quite fitting because Geico has been serving the military for over 75 years. Oh, no, look, I know this is about the troops and not about me, right, but I don't look like that. Who can I write a letter to about this?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
After 50 years of designing cars for crash survival, Subaru has developed our most revolutionary feature yet. A car that can see trouble and stop itself to avoid it. When the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety tested front crash prevention,
I'll never forget that moment. The moment I realized I was overweight and I needed help. I remember thinking, I don't want to be this anymore. I was 50 pounds overweight. 50. I needed to do something about it. But what? I called Nutrisystem, the best option for me.
Now you can lose weight even faster with a Fast 5 kit from Nutrisystem. Lose 5 pounds your first week or your money back, guaranteed.
I lost 50 pounds on Nutrisystem, and it's completely changed my life for the better.
Order your 28-day MyWay plan right now, and we'll rush you the Fast 5 free. You'll get 1 week of fantastic energizing shakes, 1 week of amazing Craving Crusher shakes, plus 1 week of delicious meals, and it's all free.
Nutrisystem helped me get my life back, and 7 years later, I'm still a believer. Don't wait. Call now and make today the moment when you start looking and feeling great.
Call now, 888-652-SIZE, and lose your first 5 pounds free.
And the shipping was free. Now I want the home I wanted to be.
Shop everything home at wayfair.com.
Tomorrow morning on America's Morning Headquarters, we're tracking Arthur. Our AMHQ experts are live all across the region tomorrow morning only on your Weather Channel.
Welcome back to our coverage of Hurricane Arthur, a very dangerous storm that is taking aim on eastern North Carolina. It's going to be moving in over the next several hours, and then will move in bodily over the Sounds and the Outer Banks overnight tonight and through early tomorrow morning, most likely as a Category 2 hurricane with tremendous wind over the Sounds and the islands, and then also coming up there into northeast North Carolina and parts of southeastern Virginia. Here is the latest advisory from the Hurricane Center. As of 6 p.m., 90-mile-per-hour storm moving north-northeast at 13 miles per hour. And I want to show you the forecast track that came out in the 5 o'clock package. Now, the noticeable change here as compared to previous forecasts is that it's a narrowed path, and what is not included was the part of the path that was farther to the east, more out over the open water. And so now it appears, especially with new model guidance, the European model coming in this afternoon, that this storm is going to be squarely over top of the eastern part of North Carolina late tonight and early tomorrow. And so that is going to obviously maximize the impacts there across that region. And here is the radar picture over the last 6 hours. Notice, if you will, that there's been a definitive turn here where the storm had been moving more north-northeast. It's now a little bit more towards the northeast. There's a bit of a curvature in the path right through here, and it should continue up and along the coast, and then will most likely move in on the south side of the islands there in the Sounds, getting towards Morehead City and also towards Atlantic Beach. And then right in here, very heavy rain and a lot of weather associated with that. And then this is the eye wall, this area, this ring of storms right around the eye. That's the most dangerous part of the storm, and that is what's going to be taking aim on the south side of the Outer Banks and the south side of the Pamlico Sound, and also towards Atlantic Beach and up into Morehead City. I want to show you a different type of radar picture. This is showing you reflectivity on the left. So this is what you're used to seeing. We're looking at the rainfall here and looking at that eye wall, and then you're looking at the velocity mode on the right, and you can see the tremendous velocity right in here with that eye wall, and that is what is going to be taking aim on these areas of North Carolina probably late tonight. So this is how that'll play out. Winds picking up there in Beaufort and into Morehead City, getting up to about 40, 50 miles per hour next few hours. And then by late tonight, around midnight, 50 to 60 miles per hour sustained. The storm may be very close to making landfall at that time. Winds also really coming up there on the Cape and up towards Kill Devil Hills. And then 2:30 in the morning, look at this, 60 to 75 mile per hour wind sustained. So we're talking about winds gusting 80, maybe 90 miles per hour hour in this area, and that goes until 4 o'clock in the morning. We find more of the same. Then the center of the storm begins to move out as the sun is coming up tomorrow, but still very strong wind on the backside, and that wind is then going to be driving the water in the Sound towards the Outer Banks, so the Sound side flooding could be tremendous getting into the morning hours. Storm then pulls away pretty rapidly going through the middle of the day tomorrow. So there is the surge forecast, looking at a 3 to 5 foot surge along the Outer Banks on the ocean side. Initially, we get flow coming into the Outer Banks from the ocean, and then again, the winds turn around and we get that Sound side flooding, and that could be significant coastal overwash along Highway 12 there. And you notice the winds coming out of the east initially as the storm is approaching, and these barrier islands are not very high, about 3 to 6 feet in elevation, so it won't take much to cause inundation. And then when the winds switch around and come out of the north, all that water in the Sound will slosh back towards the barrier islands here, and that's when we see that significant flooding on the Sound side, and also, Alex and Dave, perhaps significant flooding in Norfolk, Virginia, an area that is notorious for flooding. Back to you.
Good to have you on the case, and all of our experts at the Weather Channel, really.
That's right. Kelly Cass and Paul Goodlow are coming up next. They're going to keep the coverage going along with our experts and our crews out in the field.
And we'll keep an eye on those thunderstorms. There's severe weather in Bennington, Vermont, and flooding in Houston. Be careful, will you?
Brian Norcross is next.
Currently in our area, 88 degrees with a thunderstorm. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 77. Chance of rain, 40%. Independence Day, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 90. Chance of rain, 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook. From the Weather Channel headquarters in Atlanta, you're watching Hurricane Central.
Well, the waves are getting higher at Holden Beach, North Carolina, just south of Wilmington. The center of Arthur right now is about 50 miles east-southeast of there. Hey there, good evening. I'm Paul Goodlow.
And I'm Kelly Cass. The situation is changing every minute, and we need to get straight to our senior hurricane specialist, Brian Norcross, because, Brian, this thing is still forecast to intensify.
It still is a possibility to intensify before it makes landfall. We expect that to happen later on this evening into the early morning hours on the North Carolina coast, and there have been changes late this afternoon, if you're just tuning in terms of the certainty that this is going to hit North Carolina. That looks now certain, so it looks like the strongest of this hurricane, no matter how strong it is indeed going to come over the coast. Now, we're standing by for an advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Now they're on an every 2-hour schedule because the landfall is fairly imminent. We don't have it, so if you're just tuning in, I'll give you real quickly the 6 o'clock update. The location 165 miles southwest of Cape Hatteras at 6 o'clock. 90 mile an hour top winds in the circulation, 977 millibars. Pressure has gone down. Okay, so we just got the update here, and the only difference is the north-northeast at 15. There you see it changed right there on the air. So it's picking up its speed in this general north-northeasterly direction, which looks like it's going to take it over the North Carolina coast, somewhere in the Camp Lejeune, Jacksonville, Beaufort area later on this evening. Looks like right now we'll get to the close-up on the radar here and take a look. So here's where we are right now, and there obviously obviously is the eye of the hurricane. And so what we have here are these bands. So there's one band here, another band here, and then another one, and another one. And there's one out here that has a lot of really squally weather with it. And there's been some tornado activity with it. And Dr. Forbes will be along to talk about that. That's not related to the eye. So the strongest winds are in this area right in here. So right now, that's offshore, obviously. Wrightsville Beach is right over there, and we've been seeing very bad weather there, but that's from one of these number 3 or 4 bands rotating in there. So what's happening is, let's put it in motion and watch the eye move, because that's where what's going to happen that's really bad, that's where it's going to be, and it's going to move in this direction here. Somebody tell me where that picture is, by the way. Say it again. Oh, that's Holden Beach. Okay, that's well south. That's down here. So that's really out of the weather. That's why I was looking at that saying, well, that doesn't look too bad. But anyway, it's representative of what is happening after the storm. But you can see the movement in this direction, right toward the Morehead City, Jacksonville area, and you see what's happening here. One band goes through, and then there's kind of a calmer period, then another, and then another, and then another, and each one of those is going to get stronger as it comes up to the coast. So that's with the wind. But the big story of this, I don't think, is going to be the wind. As the storm moves, here's Cape Hatteras, here's Pamlico Sound, that body of water behind it. That's where our big concern is. And so as the storm moves here now with the new cone from the National Hurricane Center, either on the north side of Pamlico Sound, south side, somewhere over the sound is the best bet. It seems to be heading right about in that direction right now, and the Hurricane Center indicating this could intensify up to 100-mile-an-hour hurricane. Say it again. Where are we here now? This is Wilmington. Okay, well, this is south of Wilmington, evidently. That must be down near Wrightsville Beach. All right. Then the storm moves on up to the northeast, and they have a tropical storm warning in effect for the eastern end of Cape Cod for the possibility of some fringe effects. But this is going to be more like kind of a bad nor'easter going by. We don't have a big concern for that. You folks know how to deal with it, although it is 4th of July weekend. So that's really unfortunate timing. Now let's talk about exactly this issue to do with the storm surge and how the winds are going to affect it. So here we were at 6 o'clock this evening, so we're just off of Cape Fear down here. Now the system is moving on up toward the Beaufort area, and this is where Morehead City is, up in that area. And notice that this whole time the winds are from the south here against Cape Hatteras and the sound there on the other side of the Outer Banks. So bear that in mind. So we had this continuous south wind here for the last several hours. All right, here comes the storm. Now we're at midnight, and now we're close to high tide. So 2 things to note. One is the peak winds are in the vicinity of the Outer Banks on the ocean side. On this side over here, we're getting the peak winds about the time of high tide, it looks like. And so we expect some flooding with that on the ocean side, and we're pushing the water in the sound to the north at midnight. Now, in the sound, the tides don't make a big difference. They only go up and down half a foot or so, so it's not a big deal. But as we get past midnight, now what's happening is if the storm takes this track where the National Hurricane Center is indicating, then it's going to push the water the other way in the sound. So now the water's all going to go south in the sound. So this is like a bathtub, and picking up one end, and the water runs one way, and you pick up the other end, and the water runs the other way. And by the nature of it, it's going to come over the land on the sound side, and that's where we get flooding. So this is Kill Devil Hills here. Now this is the ocean side of Kill Devil Hills that you see on the left side of the screen. So the ocean side is not our big concern at Kill Devil Hills. Not that there might not be an issue there. It's the sound side, and here's why. Because on the sound side, once we get to the early morning hours and the storm is passed, now we're going to begin to push water from the northwest. So it's going to start out coming this way, and then it's going to go back the other way. So the sound side in here is where we expect to have that high water. Now, from the National Hurricane Center this year, you may have seen this already, and we'll show this quite a few times. This is an experimental product they're putting out called Potential Storm Surge Flooding. It's on the Hurricane Center website. Notice the colors. The blue areas are where the storm surge could be, the flooding could be 3 feet, up to 3 feet above land. Yellow, over to 3 feet and up to 6 feet above land. Orange, over 6 feet. Now, look at some of the oranges here, and we're just to the north of Rodanthe here, and we're on this northern part. All these yellows, that's greater than 3 feet, higher than 3 feet above the ground is what the potential for storm surge is. That's why this is so dangerous. They're out on the Outer Banks tonight. All right, let me send it back to you in the studio, and we'll be back, of course, to look at this in more detail coming up. See that.
Brian, thanks so much. Of course, the other big story tonight, the severe weather in the Northeast. Dr. Greg Forbes is tracking those storms next.
Plus, heavy rains and strong winds are hitting the North Carolina coast. We'll tell you where Hurricane Arthur is headed next on Hurricane Central.
At Panera Bread, our new flatbread sandwiches may be flat. The flavors are anything but. So whether it's taste inspired by the freshness of the Mediterranean or the smoky spice of the Southwest, or bold, adventurous Thai flavors, you always get flavor that's anything but flat, and always with chicken raised without antibiotics. New flatbread sandwiches from Panera, each 360 calories or less. Try one today.
Find your Panera Bread favorite and share with us. #PaneraFaves.
New Olympic Elite Advanced Stain and Sealant in 1 has revolutionary color-rich technology and 4-season protection package that penetrates deep to protect and beautify.
Dad, I'm hungry.
New Olympic Elite.
Dad.
New Olympic Elite. From America's most trusted brand since 1938. Only at Lowe's.
Who's he talking to?
I don't know, honey. I don't know.
With diabetes, it's tough to keep life balanced. I don't always have time to eat like I should. That's why I like Glucerna shakes. They have slowly digestible carbs to help minimize blood sugar spikes.
Glucerna, the #1 doctor-recommended brand.
Inside each of us is a little bit of Minion. The part of us that wants to be mischievous, wants to run free. All you have to do is let it out. Find your inner Minion only at the Despicable Me Minion Mayhem Ride at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Currently in our area, 88 degrees with a thunderstorm. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 77. Chance of rain, 40%. Independence Day, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon, high 90. Chance of rain, 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Tomorrow morning on America's Morning Headquarters, we're tracking Arthur. Our AMHQ experts are live all across the region. Tomorrow morning only on your Weather Channel.
Sun's out. Challenge issued.
New Coppertone Sport AccuSpray. Designed to help you spray where you want, not where you don't.
It's so on.
Coppertone Sport AccuSpray. It's on.
From safety to fuel economy to quality. Today, Chevrolet has it all. And it's a great time to buy. During the Chevy 72-hour sale, you'll get 0% APR for 72 months, plus no monthly payments for the rest of the summer. 0% APR for 72 months, plus no monthly payments for the rest of the summer. Hurry, the Chevy 72-hour sale ends Monday. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Want to celebrate the 4th without little uninvited guests? Stop by your neighborhood Ace to get Ortho Home Defense Max with Comfort Wand. Just $9.99 after $3 instant savings during our 4th of July event, happening now.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Welcome back. Just like yesterday, we are concerned about severe weather in the Northeast. We've got severe thunderstorm watches in effect until 9 and 10 o'clock tonight, but also here in North Carolina, Paul.
That's right. A tornado watch till 2 o'clock in the morning. Expect that to continue throughout the evening as we have Arthur making landfall as we head throughout this evening. In fact, right now, with the in-depth analysis on all of this, let's head to our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes.
Hey, thanks, Paul. And Arthur has been pushing rain bands onshore into the eastern parts of North Carolina. Couple of reports of tornadoes thus far, and no tornado warnings at the moment, but there could be a spotty damaging wind gust anywhere here from especially north and east now of Wilmington up perhaps as far inland as Greenville and maybe as far north and east as the Virginia Beach area as we head through the overnight hours. In terms of the tornado condition index, I've given a 5 today, about a 50% chance of a tornado within 50 miles in these eastern parts of North Carolina, probably especially the highest on the outer banks as these rain bands come on shore. Now, when you have a hurricane, it typically is the right front quadrant. So that is these areas that are out in these highest thunderstorms. They're up about 49,000 feet tall here in some of these thunderstorms. Not so much as you get right in near the circulation center of the hurricane. So we're talking places right now that are up near Moorhead and especially a little bit north and east of Moorhead City into the New Bern area and then working their way toward the Greenville area and especially then continuing tonight off toward the north and east. There are some spots in there. Can you see this one at the very end? It looks like it's got a little curly Q. So that one off to the northeast of Moorhead City, we'll worry about that one. There's some other little circulations occasionally showing up here and there, but no tornado warnings at the moment. There is Arthur. There's a cold front associated with a cold pocket in the mid-latitude jet stream that dives down all the way into the western part of the Carolinas, and that one, there's the cold front. And so there's a lot of severe weather has gone on today up in parts of the mid-Atlantic and northeast. And even down in the west there, a severe thunderstorm warning includes the Charlotte, North Carolina area, the Mecklenburg area. Up in the mid-Atlantic northeast, we've had some hail reports up to 2 inches in diameter. In Washington, D.C. earlier, you've had trees down, 70-mile-per-hour gusts measured within parts of the city. Right now, the stronger storms are from Philadelphia north and east. Right across Philadelphia there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Burlington, Camden, and Philadelphia counties. And the worst of the storm there now is probably just to the north and east of Philadelphia, heading up toward I-276, coming toward Trenton, about 751. Norristown area, it's kind of coming right across you or just past you at this point. Then all sorts of severe thunderstorm warnings from Vermont, Connecticut, down into southern parts of New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Take a look at a few of those. Down around Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, the Monroe County area. Then up around Port Jervis in New York, the Orange County area there of southern parts of New York. Up into the Salisbury area, heading up into western Massachusetts, Berkshire, Columbia,